Hey scholars, welcome back to Chapter 9. We're taking a look at Chapter 9-2. So why should we even care about preventing premature extinctions or species going extinct because of us? What's the whole point? Why should we do this? So that's what our essential question is for today. If we take a look at it, there are lots of different values that organisms have and species have on this planet. One of them is called an instrumental value, and that's actually where we call this the use value, where this could be anywhere from medicines, ecotourism, where we're actually gaining some monetary value for these organisms being on our planet, or maybe genetic information, something that we can actually use where these organisms can be used for something, either for money value or for bettering science. Any of those things would be types of instrumental values. Another type of instrumental value, but a non-use value, is the existence value. And that's just the sheer fact that this organism is on our planet. Like, that's just, it's good. It's good that it exists. Like, it's good to know that we have African lions or elephants on the planet. Another one is called an aesthetic value, which basically means it looks nice. We need to keep it around because it's kind of cool to look at. It's very unique. People will come to see it. It's just kind of awesome looking overall. Another one is called the bequest value. And this is that people would pay or donate their time and energy to make sure and protect this organism. Maybe not for right now. Maybe we don't have any use for now. Maybe it's for future generations. Maybe somebody else will find a benefit to the species in future generations. And the last one we have is the ecological value, which basically means it's a vital component of a bigger system like an ecosystem. That without it, we lose something as far as that system might even collapse if it is removed from the system. This is a type of intrinsic value or use value. This is just look at nature's pharmacy. Couple of different examples of plants, most of them found in tropical forests that actually cure disease or have been used to treat certain diseases of the human species. And there's just a couple of different instances or examples of those. This would be a great example of, I think, the aesthetic value. It's just a beautiful creature. It looks lots of bright colors, just really, really cool to look at. I don't know. There might be other uses for the macaw, but I mean, for me, it's just for me itself. It's just an existence / aesthetic value for me. One of the science-focused things is looking at using genetics and DNA to reduce illegal poaching or killing of elephants for their ivory. And in 1989, a bunch of countries came together. An international treaty was signed against poaching or illegal taking and killing of elephants. Unfortunately, because of that, sometimes because they're more rare, they're worth more, poaching is on the rise. But they've actually started when they collect, if they actually catch a poacher with ivory or on him, they can use the ivory to literally take DNA samples, analyze those samples, and figure out where are those species, or where is that organism actually being taken from? Which herd was it taken from, compared to their genetic information they've had on all these different herds in Africa. Some people think, though, that elephants have damaging areas in South Africa because there's too many in that certain area. Not that there's too many overall, just too many in that certain area. And the question asked, should they be culled? And culled basically means is taken out for the good of the, some of them taken out for the good of the overall stock of elephants. And that's just a debate people ask. But in South Africa, there's more elephants than, they're kind of, having some different imposed on the ecosystem, and so some people think they should be culled. All right, so are we ethically obligated to prevent premature extinction? Just because that intrinsic value, the existence value, regardless of the usefulness of it, so not even thinking about whether it's use or non-use, are we obligated? And some people think, like Edward L. Wilson, that we have this thing called biophilia. It's a phenomenon where, since we've been born, we've always thought nature is interesting and cool. Since I remember Mom took me as a little kid to the zoo, I was just awed and wowed at tigers. And we have this sort of, because we are animals ourselves, this kinship with the natural world. And as he said, that then because of this, some people think we are obligated to prevent premature extinction. Other people have a huge fear of wildlife. That's what we call biophobia. It's not all wildlife, maybe just spiders, snakes, horses, those kind of things. I'm super afraid of horses, so please don't mention them in my presence. And if you do, just don't do it. So here's one of the examples of those are bats. And a lot of people, since it's Halloween season, might as well talk about them. Why should we care about bats? Most people are like, we don't, because they suck. But really they do. They really are a very, very important part of the ecosystem. They take care of insects. They do a lot of good things for us, but they are very vulnerable to extinction because they, number one, are slow to reproduce, and we've been actually, because a lot of them live and have their homes in old mines, we've been closing down those old mines and kind of trapping them there. They can't get out or find food at night, and therefore they're dying off. Another big thing that your book doesn't talk about is funguses. There's some a brown bat up in the Northeast that's been having really huge, dramatic population drops because it's spreading a fungal disease with their noses. And if you know anything about bats, they sleep in cold, moist kind of caves with a whole bunch of other bats, and they're really close to one another, so that the fungus is spreading from the mouth to mouth, and it's very hard for them to survive. Other important ecological roles, they feed on crop-damaging insects, like we talked about earlier. They're pollen. Sometimes they help spread pollen, depending on the bat. And they're also fruit eaters that spread seeds to help disperse trees. That's a good thing. But a lot of people have an unwarranted fear of bats, and there really is no reason to. So go out, watch a scary movie, but don't be too scared because bats aren't all that scary. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.